And then we have another testimony from an Israeli soldier. Let's take a look at this.
I
want to describe what I saw inside the mosque. There were women, men, and children in there. Some, a few, were injured, and I don't know from what. I don't know from what. A few were injured. Many were sitting against the wall, terrified, but looking at me. I remember that a small girl was sitting next to the wall, around 12 years old. She was holding her sister in her arms. She hugged her and was waving her other arm like a pendulum, with spread fingers as if to say, "Don't shoot." And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything. I remember this sight and I stormed outside. Then, in front of the mosque's door, there was a wall, and in the corner sat a local Palestinian person. I remember his face. He had a round face. He was very injured. I don't know from what. That was the first time I was that close. And I saw his eyes, terrified, confused. I have no words. I was confused, but it appeared that in his eyes, I was the murderer. That's what he saw in my eyes. Then he looks at me and says in Yiddish, Ob Rachmones, meaning in Hebrew, have mercy on me. It reminded me of everything that we faced in exile, the pleas of mercy from Jews throughout generations, and I stormed outside. And I don't know what happened inside of the mosque afterwards.
So some of this footage by the Israeli soldiers is never before seen footage.
Which you only could get because you were working with a filmmaker named Sarah Friedland, probably, right?
We essentially walked into the Palmach archive in northern Tel Aviv.
And the Palmach, can you tell people what Palmach is?
Palmach, so yeah, before there was IDF, there were a bunch of Zionist militias, terrorist militias, Nili, Ha'etzel, Lehi, Palmach. And later on, these militias formed the IDF after the creation of the State of Israel. So Palmach was one of them, and they were the guys that occupied and massacred people and lived in other places throughout Palestine. So we went to their archive, and we asked permission to view the footage, to go through the footage, the raw material from a film that was made on the heroics of the Palmach soldiers that was aired on Israeli TV back in 1990, and this footage is from 1989. So I was 4 years old at the time. It wasn't us who took this footage,
right?
And I think that they just don't feel like they have anything to hide. They don't have anything to hide, you know. As my friend Tamen Afar wrote in Haaretz after they banned our film, he said, well, there's a reason why they don't want to recognize that crime, and they talk about it as if it's something ordinary, as if there's nothing to hide. You know, if you don't recognize a crime, it means that you can keep doing it.
Yeah,
this is why Lid is such an important film. One of the reasons why I believe we ended up making an important film that is very vital to the moment. A huge crime took place in 1948, a crime against humanity, a crime against the Palestinian people. The world did not recognize that crime. And with the active help of, the West, well, namely and mainly the US. And now that crime is happening again. So if you look at Gaza, at the beginning of the genocide in Gaza, you would see a bunch of Israeli ministers talking about nuking Gaza, which is completely dumb, because then, it's Gaza and Tel Aviv are an hour away. So if you nuke Gaza, you kind of nuke Tel Aviv too, just to show how intelligent they are, But they did also talk about inflicting the second Nakba on the Palestinian people, or calling it the Nakba of 23 or 24. which is also completely dumb because you don't even recognize the first Nakba.
Right, they're both Nakba deniers and
Yeah,
Nakba like aspirers. Yeah,
exactly. So this enables them to keep committing that crime under the watchful eye of the the US and the West. And what we're seeing in northern Gaza at the moment is, I mean, we're sick of saying this is a crime against humanity. What they're doing right now is this plan created by Gora Island, an ex-Israeli general. It's called the Plan of the Generals, which is essentially to starve the population of northern Gaza and later on commit mass extermination of people as if they were rodents. We're seeing this now in Gaza. And in what world do we live in where it's okay to just kill 200, 300, 400 people a day? In what world do we live in where it's okay to kill 20,000 people? You know, I was watching this Instagram reel by Al Jazeera English 2 weeks ago, I think. They published it on their Instagram, and Katie is just essentially it's just a black screen, like a credit roll in a film with names of people, three in a row, three names in a row, all the names of the confirmed victims of the genocide in Gaza, and we're only talking about 34,000 names. The whole reel was about an hour long. Mind you, these are not all the names. You know me, Katie, I'm pretty cynical person. I could not get past the first 2 minutes because I just couldn't. I started crying. It goes on for minutes and minutes and minutes. You see a bunch of names, and right next to them there were also the ages. 0 years old, 0 years old, 0 years old, meaning babies. This is a baby killing machine funded by your money. You're paying for this. How are you not losing your mind over this? I mean, I live here. I live among these genocidal people who are committing these crimes against my people. I have to live. This is my new reality now. You know, when I get back to Israel, you know, I land at the airport. I take the train. I live in Haifa now, so I take the train from Lid Airport. We used to call it Lid Airport. Now they call it Ben Gurion Airport. I take the train in the from the airport up to Haifa, and I sit, and I know that I'm just gonna look around me, and I'm gonna look at these people. A lot of them are young men, and I'm just gonna keep thinking, what did these guys do in Gaza? I mean, who raped, who murdered, who killed babies, who bombed homes, who whatever. I don't know. This is our reality now. We have to live with these people, and you don't have to live with these people. All we're asking is that you stop your administration. All we're asking is that you raise awareness to the situation and just stop funding this. Trust me, it will end. Just stop supporting this, stop funding this, it will end. And as to the other stuff, you know, living with it, living in this new reality from the river to the sea, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we cope with that. But that's another thing we need to thank Biden for, in my opinion.
What do you mean? I'm not.
This new reality. I mean, I would argue that, you know, the biggest anti-Semitic act committed over the last year and something is the carte blanche, is the just like the open check that the genocidal Joe has given Benjamin Netanyahu. Biden could have saved Israel from itself. And now he's made Israel into this pariah state. He's made Israel a genocidal state. He's made Israelis genocidal people. That was the making of Biden, you know, and Netanyahu. So I don't know how, you know, other people don't see it like that. Maybe it's because I live with Israelis and I watch their media and I'm very critical of their media. I used to have a critical TV show that they tried to take off the air just because it was me and because it was successful. So I do know how Israelis think, and I can see a couple of steps ahead sometimes. and I know that this is not going to a good place. If you send people to kill other people and then they go back to their society, they don't go back normal. They don't come back normal people, especially if they committed war crimes, especially if they killed children and women.
Israel was founded through genocide, right? Ethnic cleansing, genocide. There have been so many rounds of it, kind of. Is it that, are you saying that there's something like qualitatively or quantitatively different?
Yeah, this is a genocide on steroids. You are absolutely right, Katie, to point that out. And again, going back to the film, this is exactly what we talk about in the film. This crime has been happening since 1948 to this very day. That's why we need a recognition of the Nakba, of the catastrophe of the Palestinian people. When a crime is recognized, it has a chance to stop. It stands a chance. We stand a chance of stopping it. When a crime is not recognized, when any talk of the Nakba is deemed anti-Semitic by U.S. mainstream media, by the U.S. officials, this is how can we will never be able to stop this. We will never be able to stop this unless free speech is truly allowed, and then people will have a chance of learning about the Nakba, learn about the crimes that were committed against the Palestinian people, and then have them decide for themselves.
Right.
I'm not claiming that everything I say is right, but all I want is for people to hear me and think for themselves, and then do some fact checking themselves. I'm not claiming that everything in our film is perfect and the absolute truth. If Zionist filmmakers wanna think otherwise, by all means, do another film,
Right.
make a film.
Right.
Prove me wrong.